Good morning. All right. As you know, MT Live is today, 12 o'clock. Put the link in as you always do. But keep that in mind to join us at 12 o'clock. Be another great one. All right, let's look at some charts. All right. So there were a lot of wide range bars yesterday, bullish wide range bars. But the only one there was in the Magnificent Seven was Amazon. And prior day, we had talked about this reversal, and we had a long discussion yesterday in the green room about bar by bar analysis with a couple of trades that were setting up in intraday and how we went through that. And this is a good example of on the daily chart. It's applicable to all time frames. Each bar has some indication or message behind it. So like with Amazon, these sideways bars, these tiny sideways bars after this move up at resistance suggested it was going to go higher. And part of the struggles that we all have as traders is that our minds want consistency without any discrepancies, and it doesn't work that way. And so when you can grasp that, it really expands the possibilities. And so when I look at Amazon, like I said, I see that, and I see this pattern that communicates to me as I believe what its message was is that it's going to go up because of the way it went up in the sideways consolidation. And then something like this happens. And it's like, okay. And I call this Mr. Schizophrenic as it relies to the markets or everyone in the markets as it breaks out above a red bar and it gets slammed back down. And this happened in part yesterday when we were doing this on a 5-minute chart. Right? So at that point, I think, okay, it broke out, sellers slammed it, it's going to go down, and it's going to go down here and do this pivot. And then it flips all the way back up again. And it's like, what the F? And so I'd be frustrated, in the past. And sometimes I get frustrated now, of course. And then I see that and it's like, okay, this was a shakeout. Is it going to happen again? And then as it was developing yesterday morning intraday, it's like, it's going to go up. It's worth taking the trade. And so it went up very nicely. And the message here is that if you know how to apply bar by bar analysis in the context of what preceded it, and when you're in a trade, it's a powerful concept that not allows it actually, once you learn it, it forces you to reevaluate your prior decisions, which, as we know, none of us like to be wrong. But, when the markets, we try to be right, 60% of the time. In any event, here was a wide range bar. But as we look at these, I know, right there, Robert, as we look at these, it's like, where it happened with everything else. It's like NVIDIA, no movement. Amazon, not Amazon, Microsoft. Maybe that's a call spread situation since it's got those thing down here. Netflix down. Meta's not moving. Google's not moving. And the Magnificent Seven just looks terrible. So it's different than what we've seen in the past, where these were leading and everything else is doing nothing. Whereas the breadth, which isn't great right now, but maybe it's going to be getting better, um, these aren't moving, and many other things are. So just taking a quick peek, I'll just click on this one. It's on 5-minute charts, right? But aerospace and defense started to turn up. The Qs are doing nothing. Semiconductors up. This one not doing nothing. This one doing nothing. So it is selective. Copper stocks, miners are going up. And so as we look around, you see transports moving up, and KRE came back from that decline, which in turn, what I have over here, you can see the wide range bars in some of these other sectors. I'm not going to go through them all. Broker dealers, there's another aerospace and defense, healthcare providers. So there's a lot of stocks that are moving. We all tend to focus on the MAGS because that's what we hear about, and they're not doing anything. So one thing that I would keep an eye on, or suggest you keep an eye on, is that these moves that are happening here, these power moves that are happening here, remember, they create voids, which means pullbacks can be relatively substantial without violating the trend. That's something we'll be looking at in the next couple of weeks to see how they act. Here's the equal weighted NASDAQ 100. You can see that breaking out. So there are stocks within the NASDAQ that are far outperforming the Magnificent Seven. So now our job is to go and find them. Now with these wide range bars, most times they're going to have a resting day. Some are going to continue, but something we'll be watching for. Okay, so IWM, what a power trend that was. Look at this 5-minute chart. How do we define power trends? Small bars, relatively equal in size, that move up bar by bar, barely violating a prior bar's low. Extremely controlled, systematic. So whatever selling there was a bid under it every single time. And offers were being taken, and it pushes up and it continues to push up. And I don't have the pivot script on here, but I don't think there's any pivots on here. Let me see if they have the pivot script on here. Time. Pivots. Yeah, I have it on there because I see no pivots, but okay. Not there isn't supposed to be. Well, that's supposed to be a pivot. No. That's the trader pivots. Hold on a second. I have another one here, and it's not called pivots. Okay. All right. There isn't one pivot low. That is one of the visuals that is besides what I explained about the bars. There's no pivot lows, which means it didn't pull back 3 bars in a row. They were like 1 bar pullbacks. That is, I mean, a power trend on steroids. And what was doing that? Well, obviously, consistent buying, strong demand. And in the face of, see that, this was in a power trend down, but not as strong. Energy was going down, and biotech, that was pretty strong. So that was a floor under it. So that was going up. That was good. We talked about these deep pullbacks yesterday or the other day. I think it was yesterday. But you had regional banks. That was in a strong trend and then flattened out. And then whatever other biotechs under the hood that may have been going up. But KRE, the Russell was just being bought so consistently throughout that period there, just continued to move up and up and up and up. And so pattern like that suggests maybe it has a resting day. It should make new all-time highs. So the NYSE made new all-time highs, and you got all of these stocks now that are being bought at the beginning of the year. So one of the things we'll be looking for is, do our internal gauges hit an extreme? And when it does, we know that there's going to be a correction. Either way, there's going to be a correction, and our internals will give us the timing of that. It's not here yet. Yeah, so that's another thing that we'll be looking for in the coming days. All right. Where are we now? Not doing too much. Qs are at the top of the range there. Now remember the QQQE equal weighted broke out, and this is not moving because it's weighted and the mags aren't moving. So one of the things to look for is when the mags, should they start moving, and they may play catch up. And historically, um, when laggards play catch up to what's doing well, that's another indication that the market's getting closer to some correction. And so we'll keep that in mind as this unfolds. Yeah. Thanks, Patrick, for reminding us. You know, there is an assumption that the Supreme Court will rule on the tariffs, and we'll see what happens from there. You know, is there a plan B? Do they say yes? But all that money that's coming in, if they rule Trump's got to give it back, who knows what'll happen with that? And then there's the jobs report. So Friday's going to be a big day. Right? S&P is pushed up. That looks like a new all-time high. They're pretty much unchanged. SPX, nothing touched yesterday. Now they finally moved. They came up 40 strikes or 40 handles from where they were yesterday. They all went up. And the bottom one should be, in no way should it go down there. And it's below 6,900. So now that S&Ps are decisively above 6,900, any pullbacks should stay above that. And if we look at the 5-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, there was a stall at the end of the day. Things were going sideways, but any pullbacks, we just do our typical, looking for it to stay in the upper 50% of the wider bar. But it should definitely, any pullback should stay above 6,900 now that it's cleared it decisively. And so now, in addition to that, just peekaboo above the high, we move this up here. All right, so our method is dynamic in that as things change, our support levels change. They have to. So major support is the low prior to a higher high. Now it was down here. We got a new high. Major support is now here. And ideally, that acceleration continues into the S&P 500 where it clears this area. Now, 7,000 is going to be a big ceiling to try and overcome. And most times it'll overcome it a bit before it stalls, but coming above there, if our internals come into alignment at a bearish extreme at that time, odds of a retracement are going to be high. Now, the further prices can clear, even this, what we now call this minor support, the greater the probability that normal pullbacks don't damage the trend. Now that we have a major support level, a break below that will violate the uptrend. And then, of course, we know there's a problem. Okay. You don't need to draw trend lines because anytime you violate major support as we define it, it's going to break a trend line. Unless you can't draw straight or you don't know what dots to connect. All right. There's the Dow, new all-time highs. There's major support. By the way, these end at the end of this week. If you want to join us in the green room or the advisory letters or a course or anything that is on that page will not work anymore. So consider it. Silver reversing down today. Of course, there's a pivot there to the left. Trend is up. We can look at the futures, not that we really have to, but there's the breakout. Last week we were looking at this contraction and volatility with those lines. And Qs, so far running in place this morning. Gold is down a little bit. Oh, looks like a little bit of a breather taking hold so far this morning. There's the S&Ps. And it's interesting that they're not breaking out. The futures aren't breaking out. And, I've mentioned this a few times that historically the futures break out and sometimes they're little breakout failures. I mean, they usually lead because futures traders, whether they're looking at the S&P 500 spiders or SPX or not. It's kind of like they're just trading momentum, and sometimes it just gets out of hand. And so, it breaks out and the others don't. Now they're not moving. So I just see it. I don't know what to make out of it, but it's just interesting. So some profit taking coming out of the Russell as it comes up to some of that overnight resistance, just ping pong, and now 65-minute chart. And there's the overnight trading, and it's just coming in a little bit. So would lead more to a thought of a consolidation day, ideally staying in the upper half of the wide range bar, give or take. And there's Erythium coming up to resistance. It's building a base, looking for an event. There's a little bit of an event here, but waiting to see something more convincing. Any news to move the market? I didn't even check the news today, Robert, as far as economic reports. I think that the focus is all about Friday. So there's Bitcoin. And, you know, that bar that I showed you in Amazon where it broke out and it flipped down and then it flipped back up again. I would love to see that in Bitcoin or Ethereum because that would really be a strong signal. Right now, it's just in a trading range. It came up to the top of the trading range, with some momentum. It's pulling back. But if we can get a little breakdown and a flip back up, for me, that's the kind of pattern that suggests getting in with confidence. Whereas there are other patterns, as you know, you look at that and it's like, I get it. I get it. But something gives you some reservation to it. And at those times, you should just do a smaller position size. And that kind of takes away the that uncertainty. No, not doesn't take away the uncertainty. It just allows you to freely move without being concerned about a disaster that trade didn't work and now you're losing more money than it's woulda, coulda, shoulda bullshit. Anyway, crude oil, inching down. Yes, exactly. It removes the fear. The fear being, you're going to have some disaster. So yeah, it was interestingly, after that move up in I'd have to scroll this back, but anyway, you can see after that gap up on the Venezuela news, that gap up is just everything. Most of these just got killed yesterday. Uh, and you can see there, Chevron. But I think now that they made this kind of a move, they will watch to see how they digest this crazy increase in volatility and see if they can tighten up. So we're always watching all the sectors to see what they're doing and looking for those opportunities. That's it. So for right now, it looks like maybe a little bit of a back and fill day, and we'll go from there. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yep, I agree with that. Saw that into the close yesterday with some parabolic intraday charts. I don't have much moving on my watch list. It opens for 100% bullish open positions, and we're pretty loaded. So SLP, yeah, maybe a call. Today's Wednesday, so call spreads for Friday would be 2 days of risk. Keep an eye on that. Alta alarm. There's been a ton of wide range bars starting last Friday, and we were in this. We bought over the high on Monday. Up alarm went off. We're in trail mode. GSAT up alarm. I moved stop break even, and I gave a target first third 68.75. Let's set an alarm. Vic alarm or cruise ship? I had a down alarm go off here. Um, I don't know. I was just watching at the open. K-toss. We're in trail mode. I had an alarm go off, but it looks flat. That was a beautiful bottoming pattern. Just perfect. Flattening MAs, it broke out, cleared all these pivots, buy setup, reversal. This is perfect. NVTS, we're in trail mode, bottoming pattern. We bought over the high of this bar, big old retest, another bottoming pattern. Totally different flavor of that other one, of what was it? K-toss. Totally different, but that's another bottoming pattern. Those are all my alarms. That's another bottoming pattern. That's another flavor. There's 3 different flavors, and yeah, they're all bullish. This had a little downside shakeout. You got a bullish weekly. Not sure the target on this one though. You got this pivot, you got the 200. It'd be more of a 200 put spread for me. Let's see if there's any juice there. 50 by 90. So it's no, that's naked and it's still liquid. Well, earnings here, not many. UNF. I mean, that would have been a good trade if it opened flat. 186. Now it's a call spread. Maybe even a condor. If you can do the 170s, 205s. Yeah, it's a pseudo little Climo capping up. Well, that's put spread idea. Capping up over 3-4 bars. Sure, let's keep an eye on that. See if they have weeklies. They do not. But they do have 75 puts for next week, so those will be the ones I'll look at. APOG earnings gap. Now, all right, that's a big gap. So that's a big ugly gap, but it might be excessive if buyers step up for a 2 DTE put spread. Yeah, I got Pat on my list right here. Thomas. You could, it's at resistance, so I'd prefer 1, 2, 3, but it's a bullish 15. Give it 10, 15, 30 minutes. It'd be a good 30-minute high. If it's chopping around sideways, I like. But yeah, it's on the list. ACI was earnings, opening flat, no pattern. A couple of restaurants got upgrades, McDonald's, perfect put spread. There's juice. Down a lot, potent reversal and support, capping up. 305. They're a little spready. A lot spready. But I'll put it on the list. I know CMG was upgraded. I already deleted on the no pattern, and that's not moving. Pizza Hut got upgraded, not moving, no pattern, so I deleted those already. Yum was also upgraded. Let's set an alarm at 152.20. I don't see any pre-market prints. Well, Mister had some type of news. If it can trade over yesterday's high, I like it as a put spread. Set alarm 165. And I got wood on my list here too. That was a nice gap inside bar. Let's set an alarm at 161.20. No, I mean 121.16. Going another bottoming pattern, but needs more work. Highs, there's the bottoming pattern I like. Well, that looks good. I'll put that in a window. Boeing got a big order from Alaska Airlines. The news was just talking about, pattern house igniting gap breakout, but excessive. Look at this PI from yesterday. This would be a fantastic 1, 2, 3 if we get it. It's extended on the hourly, but that looks great. Over the week's high. Golf Tango, we'll watch for 1, 2, 3. Bib down a little bit. That'd be a good 1, 2, 3. Burke, W bottom retest. That would be a good 1, 2, 3. I already checked puts. There was nothing. Reddit, the ideal entry was on Monday, but I gapped up. But it's strong. It's strong. Just needs to chop around more for a better entry. Confirm that was an explosion bar on Monday. But daily, weekly, monthly are all in alignment. Bullish. WTW at the prior high. Ideally, we get 1 or 2 more inside bars. OSW, same. Well, this one I'm going to set alarm 2180. This one could be ready to go. 30-minute high. Well, not 30-minute high, over yesterday's high after 10 a.m. That's what I mean. Sam, some of these were on your list. UHS, short ideas, and little sell setup after a breakdown. Looks like a one print here, but I don't know if it's real. Oracle, this is a relative weakness. Over Monday's high, it's a put spread. Under yesterday's low, it's a call spread, and a day trade breakdown. Ribbon, I like the weekly, monthly, but I'm watching it for a turn. IYZ, telecom ETF, closing at the high. CRS, this looks good. This I like. It's not a 1, 2, 3 because those 2 bars are above the high, but it's 2 bullish bars in the upper 7%. Charlie Foxtrot, I like 1, 2, 3. Moss, bottoming pattern. I posted this as a put spread. GTX we're already in, but looks good to add. Marriott, we'll watch for 1, 2, 3. And that's all my alarms, so perfect timing. All right, path gapped up. So like I said, maybe 30. Like I said, maybe 30-minute high. Sam, your UHS is gapping down. It's an end of day decline though. A CRS alarm I just talked about. I'll set a new alarm 340. Diamond's the strongest, all-time highs. Moss alarm. Mr. Alarm. Early alarm, but let me check premium now. Ether low alarm, more than that in the ETF letter, but with a nice open gain. All right, Mr. for Friday would be the 155. $5 wide is 56 cents, but you're not going to get 56 if it takes out the base high. But I'll keep an eye on it. All right, Moss put spread triggering. Oh no, oh my bad. I gave this one as a long, so this triggered 25.43. I gave a different put spread. This triggered. Yeah, put spread was, oh, I thought I had a put spread. Maybe it was Mr. just to watch. Spiders and diamonds breakout failure. Well, diamonds are still on minor support. Spiders have broken it on fun. Months. PD. We did a put spread yesterday. I got a low alarm, but it's fine. Early alarm. Reddit alarm, but I'm not chasing. It's a little far from the 20. The markets are up a lot intraday. I'm not chasing it. All right, this APOG earnings. Yeah, say buyers did step up. Let me see if there's any 30s. There's 0 by 40, and there's no weeklies, so forget about that. Ether is still fine. I'll set a new alarm. Use perking here a little bit. Microsoft is moving on the 15. That's the best looking 15 thing right now. Netflix did pop, but got slapped back down in a nasty downtrend. All right, let's calm bottom right. I thought I was going to be a put spread, but it got slammed. So now I got zero interest in that. AD line obviously get down, but it's still 180. Our GSAT is fine. Would be, let's see, that'd be a beautiful 1, 2, 3 to add as a new trade. Use new high path. I said it, like 30-minute high would be great. Let's put that down here. I don't need to call them anymore. Oh, our Viking, okay, our Viking is okay. I'll just reset the alarm. Yeah, spiders fill the gap here, holding low. All-time highs. I didn't, not expecting it to crater, that's for sure. Yeah, that's fine for bottoming pattern. Amazon would be a 1, 2, 3. But first swing, where's your stop going to be? First swing, it's, less than 1-to-1, so it's more of a day trade now. Yeah, trade was yesterday. All right, let me go through all alarms, all opens rather. We're not a whole lot moving. Google perking on the 15. If it closed like this would be a definite put spread. All right, Google's perking here. Let me check the 310s. Flat 20, rising 50. 310, 65. So you can't even get 50-cent midpoint. Yeah, I did see LOW this morning, but I didn't see any pattern other than a put spread. I mean, this again is a bottoming pattern, just a different flavor of bottoming pattern right there. Home Depot, a little gap reversal, gap breakout. That's a put spread also. Housing, I see gapped up. 340s, Home Depot, 17 by 33 next week. 85 by 145. So spreads are ludicrous. All right, opens. We got a ton of opens here. We got everything updated. That's of yesterday afternoon. No alarms are going off. This thing's been total dead money, trying to get us out break even. She said, let's see, the new stuff is what? 60. Oh, shit, it's 65.10. I had a time break even. KTX looks fine. We entered yesterday. KTOS, we're in trail mode, looks great. Lunar, we have break even stop. NUE's been lagging, but nothing to do. NVTS, we're in trail mode, looks great.